Have you ever started something with excitement, a new habit, a new business, a fitness journey, a dream you've carried for years? But after a few days, or maybe a few weeks, you stopped. Not because you weren't talented, not because you didn't care, you simply gave up. If this has happened to you, you're not alone. But what if I told you that the real reason you never finish what you start isn't laziness? It's something much deeper. Today, I'll tell you a story that might completely change the way you see yourself. And by the end, you may finally understand what's been holding you back all these years. The story of Ethan. In a quiet town surrounded by green hills lived a young man named Ethan. Ethan wasn't poor because he lacked opportunities. He was poor because he never finished anything. He bought expensive books but read only the first few chapters. He joined online courses but quit halfway. He started exercising every Monday, only to stop by Friday. Every year he wrote ambitious goals in a notebook. Every December he looked back and realized almost none of them were complete. Whenever someone asked about his dreams, Ethan had hundreds of ideas. I want to start a business. I want to learn English. I want to become financially free. I want to write a book. His dreams sounded beautiful, but they always stayed dreams. Slowly, his confidence disappeared. He began telling himself, maybe I'm just not disciplined. Maybe successful people are simply born different. The mysterious carpenter. One rainy afternoon, Ethan met an old carpenter repairing a broken wooden bridge. The old man looked calm. Every movement was slow, careful, precise. Ethan watched him for nearly an hour. Finally, he asked, "How do you stay so patient? Doesn't this work become boring?" The carpenter smiled. "Very boring." Ethan looked confused. "Then why don't you quit?" The old man laughed softly. "Because I never focus on finishing the bridge." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" "I only focus on placing one perfect piece of wood." The lesson that changed everything. The carpenter handed Ethan a small wooden block. "Try breaking it." Ethan snapped it easily. Then the old man stacked another piece, then another, then another. Soon they formed a thick wooden beam. "Now break it." Ethan couldn't. No matter how hard he tried, the carpenter smiled. "One piece is weak, but many small pieces joined together become incredibly strong." He looked directly into Ethan's eyes. Dreams work the same way. The psychology behind why we quit. Most people believe motivation creates action. Psychologists have found something surprising. In many cases, action creates motivation. Our brains love immediate rewards. When results don't come quickly, the brain begins asking, "Why am I working so hard?" This happens because the brain is designed to save energy. Thousands of years ago, conserving energy helped humans survive. Today, that same instinct often convinces us to stop long before success arrives. This is why excitement fades, not because your dream is wrong, but because your brain mistakes slow progress for failure. Ethan's experiment. Instead of chasing huge goals, Ethan made one simple rule. Every day, only one tiny step. He wanted to read? Just one page. Exercise? 5 minutes. Learn English? One new word. Save money? One small coin. Some days it felt ridiculously easy. Other days he wanted to skip. But because the task was so small, he rarely missed. Weeks turned into months. Months became a year. Without realizing it, his bookshelf was full of completed books. He spoke English more confidently. His body became healthier. He had enough savings to launch a small online business. People suddenly called him disciplined. They thought he had changed overnight. They never saw the hundreds of tiny actions hidden beneath the surface. The iceberg nobody sees. Success is like an iceberg. People admire the visible top, the promotion, the successful business, the transformation, the confidence. But underneath, there are thousands of invisible decisions. Choosing to continue when nobody notices. Choosing consistency over excitement. Choosing progress over perfection. The hidden trap. One day, Ethan almost fell back into his old habits. His business wasn't growing as fast as he hoped. He thought, maybe this isn't working. Then he remembered the carpenter. One piece of wood, one perfect piece. He realized something powerful. He wasn't building a business. He was building the kind of person who finishes things. That identity mattered far more than any single goal. The science of identity. Behavioral psychologists explain that lasting change happens when actions reinforce identity. Instead of saying, "I want to exercise," say, "I am someone who takes care of my body." Instead of, "I want to read," say, "I am a reader." Instead of, "I hope I become successful," say, "I am someone who finishes what I start." Each small action becomes evidence for that identity. And once your identity changes, your habits become much easier to maintain. Years later. Years passed. Ethan became one of the most respected businessmen in town. People constantly asked him, "What's your secret?" They expected him to reveal a magical productivity hack. Instead, he smiled and said, "I stopped trying to finish big things. I only learned to finish today's small thing." Most people laughed. They thought it sounded too simple. But simple doesn't mean easy. Simple things, repeated every day, can completely change a life. Final message. Maybe you're waiting for motivation. Maybe you're waiting until you feel confident. Maybe you're waiting for the perfect time. But what if the perfect time isn't tomorrow? What if it's today, with one tiny action? Remember this. You don't fail because your dreams are too big. You fail when you believe every step has to be big. The life you want is not built in one extraordinary moment. It's built in ordinary moments repeated consistently. So today, don't promise yourself you'll change your entire life. Just finish one small thing, then another tomorrow, and another the next day. One day, you'll look back and realize those tiny actions built a life you once thought was impossible. Because people who succeed aren't always the most talented, they're simply the ones who keep placing one more piece of wood. Closing call to action. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. And tell us in the comments, what's one small thing you'll finish today? Remember, small steps, taken consistently, can change your life forever.